as you probably know, communication is so important in the workplace. But if you're trying to communicate a vision, that can sometimes, I find, be quite a bit trickier to do, a bit harder. Can you give us maybe some key elements that might need to be considered?
Yes, very definitely. Some years ago, I worked for an American bank in London, and it was decided that the technology that we were using needed a complete overhaul, complete new enterprise IT system, and that this obviously was going to be a significant undertaking because it was going to impact every single manager and employee in the company in London, and there were 700 or 800 of these people. The next thing that was going to be a challenge was the fact that we're talking about IT, an IT system. How do you communicate your vision for a new IT system? Well, I mean, that can be pretty drab, believe you me. You can use some charts and drawings and technology related illustrations, but it's not eternal for people. So, in order to communicate that vision, before we even stepped out into open forums and started to talk about this with managers and employees, we took a room in the bank and we created it as it would be after the implementation of the new system. So there was a completely new desking and furniture, completely new laptops and other computer equipment, completely new lighting, completely new walls with decorations and pictures. Everything looked about 10 years ahead of where we were. It was bright, it was attractive, it was intriguing, and I won't say it looked like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, but it looked like a big step that we were taking, and indeed it was. So when we came to communicate the vision, what people could expect, we did guided tours to the room. We said, we're going to bring in this new system, and it's going to happen in the next year. We're going to be working it at a step at a time. During this year, you're going to be coming into this room and you're going to begin to learn the system. You're going to actually use the keyboards, you're going to use the computer technology, you are going to experience it, and you're going to experience the surroundings because you'll be in there with a group of people, so that day one, when we go live, it'll be a non-event. You'll just step into that picture because the whole bank will look like this now, and you have already then stepped into tomorrow. I don't know how that sort of sounds to you as a way of communicating a vision.
Yes, it's definitely an alternative way of doing it, but I think again there's a certain element of reassurance in there.
Yeah.
And also the idea of being able to touch, smell, feel the environment, so that when you do actually go into that on a permanent basis, it's not so much a shock to the system.
Yeah.
Again, dealing with change, it can be quite suffocating. So I think that's a really interesting approach.
And let me go a bit further.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's what it was designed to do, to get people's attention and to get them excited, hopefully, and to get them positive. But the points that you made are really important as well, because it's not enough. See, in the communication of a vision, you have to use multiple forums for that communication. It's not just a question of taking people into that room once. You then have to back it up with briefing sessions, little discussion groups, dialogues, question and answer sessions regularly, and those were conducted regularly, weekly, so that people could get a better understanding, they could see progress. We used presentations to show that stage one is now complete and stage two is about to start, and what that would look like and where we were in terms of all of that. And we did that through multiple forums. Some of those were meetings, but some of them were putting pictures up around in terms of what things were going to be looking like and the progress towards those things. There were little videos that were made and they were sent round to the team leaders and managers so that they could show those to their own people in their own office space. We actually then made sure that all the messages were consistent. There was always a communication brief that had to be used using the same words to everybody. And we also were really keen that there was a sense of not only consistency but reliability, that people were on message, were walking the talk, were not causing people to think twice about this. It needed to be upbeat and needed to be sold. The final thing that we took into account was that people learn through their senses, and we all have a different preference for doing that. So that whenever we made a presentation, we made sure that certain parts of it were very, very visual, big pictures. Other parts, we were going to take people through a logical sequence of events, a bit like a project management plan. Not in too much detail, but it appealed to people who had a need for a concept to be described through logical persuasion. Other people need to see a route map. They need to see the whole picture and how, a step at a time, you're going to work towards that and where we are and the stages. So we built that in as well. We built in some interviews so that people could express how they were getting on and how the project team was working, because some people reacted very favourably to hearing what was going on and the news that was being created. We also acknowledged the fact that people were going to be working in a very collaborative way, and so the more that we could spread the idea that you're going to be working as a team, it's going to be a collaboration, it's top to bottom. No longer are we actually going to have people eat in the manager's restaurant and the staff canteen. We're scrapping all of that because we want to level everybody in terms of the use of this new IT in the world of tomorrow. And therefore there was a great sense of collaboration and teamwork and no divides or borders. You know, those were some of the key messages that we built around what was essentially going to become a very, very new way of working in terms of environment, systems, and the way in which we were going to operate going forward as a complete entity, if you like. Can you see some of those key pieces that we were using to appeal to people in different ways that they preferred to get their buy-in because they felt personally talked to and communicated with in a way they liked, in a way they preferred?
Yes, in the way that you've covered all of the senses, and there's constant feedback as well as give.
Yeah,
there's lots of give and take.
Absolutely. The best communications are two-way, definitely, for maximum understanding. Yes, that was key.